What's the most unhinged thing you can wish for from a genie? Forget money, forget power, forget love. In this manga, the protagonist wishes for a little sister. And that one wish spirals into brainwashing, rooftop blackmail, suicide loopholes, and a girl who just casually gets turned into a mouse. So yeah, this isn't Aladdin. This isn't some kind of Disney story. This is a story about making a wish to the genie of the lamp. So hello everyone, my name is Pirate Monkey. As a writer myself, I love stories that aren't afraid to get weird, and this series definitely gets weird. Today we're breaking down Ikunite's doujinshi, which for anyone who's unfamiliar with what that is, think of it kind of like an independent manga. It's a manga that is not published through an actual publisher, it's just someone uploading it themselves. And this doujinshi takes a goofy Genie Hijinks premise and turns it into a black comedy, a psychological thriller, and just a total fever dream. So we meet our protagonist, Arata. He's a high schooler who stumbles upon a magic lamp. So we got our classic setup. Out pops a genie, offering 3 wishes. But Arata immediately throws a curveball. He doesn't want money or power or any crazy thing like that. He says, and I quote, "I have no interest in wishes I can achieve through my own efforts." His wish is hyper-specific. He wants a 13-year-old sister, complete with a shared childhood, a rebellious phase, and a dislike for spicy food. This is our first clues that Arata isn't your typical protagonist. He's not lonely in a generic way. He's yearning for a specific, intimate, and real familial bond. And this is a moment when you realize he's obsessed with the idea of a perfect little sister. So the genie basically goes, I can't do that. That's impossible. To be able to create a little sister, I would have to create a person, put in memories. I would have to completely rewrite reality. That's God tier stuff. I'm not a god, I'm a genie. So I can't grant you your wish. So defeated, Arata goes to sleep. But the next morning, he wakes up to find a young girl claiming to be his sister. But Arata sees right through it immediately. It's the genie in disguise, and he's furious. He didn't want a shapeshifter, he wanted a real sister, and he tells the genie to get lost. But the genie, now named Majin, reveals the catch. The wish is already in progress. Until it's resolved, she's stuck as his little sister. So her new goal is to get Arata to use his third wish, set her free. But that can only happen once he accepts the first wish, which he refuses to do. He refuses to see this genie as his sister. And so at this point you might be thinking, oh, this is just a quirky setup for a comedy series. A brother versus a fake little sister. Cute hijinks, slice of life, all that jazz. Nope. Not even close. That's when Amiya Miyuko shows up, and the story goes full unhinged. So Amiya is the girl who originally asked Arata to help find the lamp for her. She's been hunting for it for years, so when Arata gives it to her, she's ecstatic, until she discovers that the genie is already contracted to him. So we have this hilarious moment where we see her doing some kind of satanic ritual to try to summon the genie, and nothing is able to work. She can't summon this genie. And that's when the lamp speaks to her and says, the genie's already connected to someone else. The only way that you can get your wishes is once the genie has either finished completing this other person's 3 wishes, or if that other person ceases to live, then you would be able to make a connection with the genie and get your wishes. So this is where the story shifts from quirky to dark. Amiya isn't just disappointed, she's unhinged. She brainwashes Arata's mother, forces her to hold a knife to her own throat, and blackmails Arata on a rooftop. Acknowledge the genie as your sister and hand her over. Basically, you got the lamp before I did, whatever, just do your 3 wishes. The first wish can only be completed once you acknowledge the genie as your sister, so do that, make whatever 2 wishes you want, and then give me the lamp. If you don't do this, I'll kill your mom. And Arata's faced with an impossible choice. He either has to betray the purity of his own wish. So basically he has to acknowledge the genie as his sister when he doesn't, or he has to let his mom die. And this is where we see this terrifying depth of his obsession. He is not willing to back out of this wish, but he's also not willing to let his mom die. So instead he chooses a third option, and that option is to jump off of a building. So he jumps off the building and falls to his death. And yes, he dies. Our main character dies in the very first chapter. But this isn't a suicide born of despair. This is a calculated, brutal loophole. We get a flashback to where he remembers the contract is nullified upon his death. So in his final moments, we see that before they went to the rooftop, Arata had made a second wish. And that second wish was to be brought back to life the moment he dies. So the moment he hits the ground, he dies, but he's instantly resurrected as the lamp's master once more, completely resetting the board. So Arata returns to the rooftop, bloody but alive, and utterly victorious. He confronts Amiya, who reveals her motive. She wants the genie to kill her own younger sister, who usurped her position in their magical family. Arata's response is basically, if you want your sister dead, then do it yourself with your own effort. Don't rely on an old man, aka the genie. So yeah, Arata is very much do whatever you can with your own effort. Just like none of the wishes he wants are wishes that can be accomplished through his own effort. He wants things that are impossible to achieve. And that's when he reveals his newfound ruthlessness. So the board has been wiped clean once again. Arata now has 3 wishes, but his first wish has still not been completed, so now he has 2 wishes again. So despite the fact that his second wish was to be brought back at the moment of his death, because he died and was brought back, it wipes the board clean. He now has his 3 wishes, but the first wish was never completed, as in he never got his little sister and he never acknowledged the genie as his sister. So that wish is still in progress, but the other 2 are now free for him to do whatever he wants. So for his second wish, he decides to get revenge on Amiya. And this wish is just pretty sinister. It starts off pretty comedic, where he just wishes that anytime Amiya threatens him in any way, she'll automatically turn into a house mouse. So kind of think Inuyasha whenever Kagome says sit, Inuyasha's forced to face plant. Well, in this case, it's anytime Amiya threatens or tries to do anything that would harm Arata, she'll immediately turn into a mouse. And so she immediately tries to kill him. She turns into a mouse. And then he grabs the mouse and he drops it into a tank with a bunch of other mice. And here's where it gets pretty messed up. He casually mentions that the house mice can get pregnant in just 20 days. I hope that none of the mice in this tank with you are men. I'm pretty sure you can guess where that's going and what the threat is. He's basically designed a punishment to teach her the value of life in the most horrifying way possible. And just when you think this story has peaked, there's a final twist in the chapter where Majin asks if Arata finally sees her as a sister. He says no, and the lamp itself speaks, fraud detected. This single line basically throws everything we think we know into question. What is the real nature of the wish? What is the lamp? How's the story going to get started from here? Where is it going to go? And all of this that I just mentioned, this is just the first chapter. The series just gets way more complex from here. We discover Arata has a past, hinted at by this hidden photo album that he keeps. And in the photo album, there is a blonde girl that he considered a sister. And this album, once it's discovered, he ends up burning it. And he says, never speak of this again. Turns out that that girl in the album is now the obsessive student council president. Amiya, now homeless after her failed power play, ends up being forced to live with Arata. And more importantly, we're introduced to another character named Ozakin. And Ozakin is a feminine-looking boy who is actually an agent for a shadowy organization that protects world order. He informs Amiya that the lamp is a world-ending threat and makes her a deal. Arata uses his wishes to seal the genie away, and then you give us the lamp, or I'll kill you. In just 4 chapters, we get a protagonist who's equal parts tragic and ruthless, a wizard girl who is both a villain and a pathetic homeless victim, a genie who's ironically the most normal person in this entire cast of characters, an obsessive student council president with a possible secret tie to our main character, and a femboy super soldier from the global conspiracy department. So this series just balances absurd comedy, genuine tension, and character-driven drama, and it's just masterfully done. What makes a story about making a wish to the genie of the lamp so great isn't that it's insane, though it absolutely is. It's that the insanity always loops back to the character. So Arata's obsession isn't random. Amiya's cruelty comes from jealousy. Even Majin, the comic relief genie, kind of ends up being the emotional core of this cast of characters. It uses that insanity to explore deep themes. The nature of desire, the length we go for connections, the blurred line between justice and cruelty. Characters are not good people, but they're still fascinating to watch. It's absurd, it's funny, but it's also uncomfortably smart. Constantly asks, what do we actually wish for, and what's the cost of getting it? The only downside is that the English translation has stalled. The mangaka has been uploading chapters like every couple of months, and the raws, at least the last time I checked, are up to chapter 17. However, the English scans have stopped at chapter 4, which is just sad. I'm hoping that eventually we'll get a team, either the original team, because they have done an amazing job with what I've read so far, but either they can pick it up again or someone else can come and pick it up. But we need a team to keep the series alive because it is phenomenal. So if you like manga that's unpredictable, deeply weird, and balances absurd comedy and genuine just dread and craziness, I absolutely think that this is worth your time. I'll leave a link to where you can read it down in the description below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe. When it comes to my manga videos, I tend to dive into the strange corners of manga. Basically, if you think manga is weird, I'm going to find you some even weirder stuff. And if there's anything that you think I should check out, let me know in the comments below. And I'll leave you with this. If you had 3 wishes, what's the most unhinged thing you'd ask for? And no, you can't say a little sister. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.